Well, now, let's see how this goes. You'll have to excuse me. It has been a while since I've done any streaming. I gotta make sure that everything's set up right. Everything looks to be set up right. Okay. Well. I, for those who are new here, occasionally do these quick pay what you want and free RPG quick looks, wherein I just go through a back catalog assembled over the course of a couple months and take a look at role playing games and role playing game products. It's been a while since I've done it, but something tells me that I need to at least get this last batch out here because things really got spicy the last few weeks. So we will see where that leaves this particular little series. And I know that most of the people actually watch it a significant period of time afterwards. So I usually break it up into 3 parts. We've got a couple 5th edition offerings, usually like introductory adventures or things like that. I've got some OSR stuff, and then I'll wrap it up with a couple of like other role-playing games. So we shall see how that goes. They were all either pay what you want or free, mostly pay what you want. And if you end up using them at the table, I do encourage you to actually go back and throw the designer a couple bucks at least, for a job well done. Before I get into it, I've got to check out each one to make sure that they are in fact still free/pay what you want, because many a time I've gone through and they've been removed from the store or changed up. So we'll start with 5th edition stuff. I have Temple of the Damned from Willow Tree Worlds. Fight zombies and demons in this one-shot adventure for the world's greatest role-playing game. I'd say it's the world's most well-marketed role-playing game. Things are amiss in the town of Redwater. People are turning into zombies, and the Knights of the Dawn grow more violent by the day. It's up to the heroes summoned back to the town by an old friend to get to the bottom of things. Alright, so let's pop open the product. Assuming I can find where I left everything, because clearly my computer really loves to close windows when I think I do it like absent-mindedly, but I'll blame it on the computer. Let's see here. What was that again? Temple of the Damned. Oh, you know what I forgot to do? I forgot to go through these to see if there's any questionable art and such in them. So let's hope not. YouTube might come after me. Usually there's not, though. I'm going to move my microphone out of the way so I can see what I'm doing. Temple of the Damned, 5th edition. Very simple, very simple cover art, but sometimes that's all you need. Let's get into it. It looks to be a 14-page product. That's about right for a quick adventure. This adventure was designed for a party of 3 to 5 level 3 characters from the world's greatest role-playing game. It provides around 3 to 6 hours of playing. There are 3 hard encounters and intended to be run without a long rest. Okay, good. Redwater. Okay, so we've got, I would criticize the MS Paint style artwork, but I can't do better. So, okay, that works. I do kind of like the perspective of it. The old Judd's Tavern right here. The old dive bar tavern where the adventure begins in. The Fish Hut. It's an old shack in the center of town owned by Tammy Willadine. Tammy is an old woman with a surprising youthful vigor. She sells general supplies as well as fish. As you can tell, the party, a dark lady purchased a swamp stick from her the other day, and that some blasted Knights of the Dawn came asking her about it. Swamp sticks are used to navigate the swamplands. Okay. There's the blacksmith, Nathaniel Ironbum. He complains about the Knights of the Dawn, and if asked anything strange is happening, he'll remember a dark lady ordering lots of silver weapons. She's got a lady going into the swamp, looking like she's aiming to fight supernatural things, and then a group of knights that are after her. Okay. Jeffroy's secret shack. That's in the woods there. And this was the old Knight of the Dawn's secret hideout when he conducted his investigations of Jebediah. 5. The Swamplands. On the outskirts of town, there's a swamp that hardly anyone travels into except for Tammy Willadine, the crypt of the ancient demon-slaying family, the Grimlockens, wonderful name, is located in the center of it. Lucia Grimlocken traveled into the swamps to find it, and the 3 Knights of the Dawn chased after her. So I'm assuming, yeah, it's 3 knights going after a monster hunter. Okay. The headquarters of the Knights of the Dawn is located on the hill overlooking the town. I'm getting the feeling these Knights of the Dawn are probably like, I don't know, lawful evil knights, something like that. This adventure is on the outskirts of civilization, a small town named Redwater. Knights of the Dawn's original mission is to fight evil in any form. It was founded when the great demon lords roamed the earth, causing devastation. It's been centuries since the demon lords were sent back to the fiery pits of hell, and the Order now acts as a corporation concerned with increasing their influence, profit, and power. Gee, I wonder where... Wait, when was this produced? When was this released? Because this is... I've seen a few of these. It's not listed in here. Okay. There are a few members of the Order who stay true to the original purpose of preparing to fight evil in any form. One such knight is Jeffroy. Jeffroy was concerned about the happenings in the outpost here. He believed a fellow knight, Jebediah, was planning on raising a demon lord in hopes of obtaining more power and control. Jeffroy conducted his investigation in a secret hideout in the forest. He's cunning. Jebediah is cunning, that is, and had him hanged. Well, that's sad. It happens, but it's sad. All right. A week before Jeffroy was executed, Jeffroy sent a letter to each of the party members asking them to meet him at Judd's Tavern in Redwater. So they show up, and he's already dead. And it offered no clue as to what happened. It assumes that each of the party members has helped him in the past. Because it is a one-shot, you can get away with assumptions like that. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much for watching. I am trying to do so. I like to keep my RPG news straightforward, to the point. I like to keep my reviews straightforward, very technical sometimes, and to the point. I do try to only cover products, well, except for, of course, these quick look streams, of course, because this is the first time I've seen this stuff. I do try to keep a fair mind on things and cover mostly products that have some redeeming qualities. Even if I generally rate them poorly, at least there was something in there. So that's why some of my stuff is like that. I have been slow on videos. I would like to apologize for that. There's stretches of the year where I just get completely sidetracked. Usually it's summer. This time it was in winter. But I will be having reviews coming up. I've got a review coming up of 2 Stellagama Publishing offerings. Stellagama Publishing do these Cepheus, I'm told is pronounced, engine things. There's the Cepheus Deluxe, which I've already done, but they recently came out with a enhanced edition that has better artwork. I will be doing a review of that. It'll probably just be a very short one, just covering the artwork in any format and content changes. I will be doing a review of Superpowered by the same company. This is one of their Quantum Engine kind of mini RPGs. I will be doing that coming in the coming weeks. And I will also be doing a review of Goblin Slayer tabletop role-playing game. That may be a little bit further out because it is quite a read. But for now, thank you for watching. Let me go ahead and take a look back at this. All right, so we've got a plot wherein the party is drawn in, looking for a knight. They arrive at Judd's. A tall man dressed in a black cloak talking to the bartender Judd. When the black cloak man sees the party, he ends his conversation and then sneaks out of the tavern and makes his way to the Temple of Dawn, so they're already spotted as soon as they come in. He is an agent of Jebediah. Alright. And was making small talk with Judd so he could distract him and poison his drink. And out of other patrons of the bar, whoa. This man went from, like, doing backroom deals to get more power to just outright killing everybody. Judd has been outspoken against the execution of Jeffroy, and Jebediah wants to put an end to it. But this town is only like town is only like 5 buildings. You got to imagine that if you poisoned the barkeep and everybody in there, like half the town would be gone. All right. Players can now introduce themselves and interact with the patrons. The patrons know the following. Knights of the Dawn are headquartered in the Temple of Dawn. Besides Jeffroy and a couple of his close followers, the rest of the knights are a terror to the town. They push people around, demand payments for protection. Most of the town is fed up with them. Whoops, scrolling a little bit too much. There is a sickness which has been going around the town lately. It leaves people with a nasty stomachache and a queasy feeling. It's because of the risen demon lord who's turning people into zombies. Okay, Judd tells you that Jeffroy has recently been executed, so you arrive here to speak with him. He's gone already. Judd doesn't believe the verdict given by Jeffroy, given to Jeffroy by the High Marshal, and tells the party so. Is investigating the order itself before he was executed. So it was like really obvious that this dude was executed for political purposes. During the conversation, Judd is coughing a lot, and he complains to the party about all of a sudden not feeling well. His skin begins to pale throughout the conversation, and then he starts coughing up blood. He keels over and then reanimates as a zombie. Several other people in the bar also die and turn into zombies, making for a 10 zombie fight at 3rd level, which is not terribly challenging. I thought this was going to have challenging fights in it. Once the zombies have been taken care of, Jebediah and the 2 Knights of the Dawn appear to investigate. Briefly looks around the scene and declares that Judd must have been dealing in the dark arts. He turns to the surviving townspeople and tells them not to worry because the Knights of the Dawn are here to protect them. Man, if you don't get... I mean, they're setting this dude up as a real, like, obvious villain. So he'll invite the party to go to the Temple of Dawn. It's a trap. That's how you weed out the less cautious players. Come on to my temple. I promise you'll be totally okay. If the party accepts and returns to the temple with Jebediah, they're ambushed by 5 knights in the courtyard. The party should have an idea that this is a deadly encounter. They have a slim chance of defeating the knights. One viable option is to run away. The gates to the temple are closed after the first round. It is a deadly encounter, but... yeah, this one's a more challenging encounter. This is the kind of encounter that... I guess right off the heels of fighting a bunch of zombies, it would be kind of rough. If the heroes stand and fight, they will most likely be defeated. They're knocked unconscious instead of killed. Alternatively, you can have them all captured right away. They'll give them the option to fight or run away to reduce the time of the adventure. Nah, you gotta let them fight if they want to, even if it extends the adventure. That's what you're there for, is to have fun. Okay, if they're captured, they awaken the next day in a jail cell. The Order of the Dawn is parleying with a demon named Hurricatan. And they are guarded by 1 knight who knows the following if talked to. But does he just say this information, or do you have to trick it out of him? They are seeking more power to control the people of Redwater. Jeffroy and several other knights discovered Jebediah and his followers' plans before he was ready to reveal them, and they were killed for it. The other party members are being kept alive so that the party can be fed to the demon when he is summoned. So they get They get an inkling of what's going on here, but this is not a guaranteed There's not a guaranteed encounter. This is only if the party actually goes with them, so that's cool. Party can escape by tricking the guard. If they don't try anything, the guard shift changes to nightfall, and a new knight who comes in to let them go. His name is Danon Strongblade, and he was a spy planted by Jeffroy, so he's a good guy. So you can pick up an ally by biding your time, okay? Alright, he discovered an ancient order of demon slayers. Lucia Grimlocken in town. The evil knights found out about Lucia and followed her in the swamps to try to deal with her. He gives each of them a dagger and informs them of their gear as underguard in the temple so they can go ahead. But that it would be too perilous to retrieve. He encourages the party to stop at Jeffroy's shack on the way to town. So you basically, if you do go in there, you get a lot of backstory. You get an ally, but then you get your stuff taken away. Danon strongly discourages trying to get their gear back. He could help them if persuaded. 3 knights. I don't know. I think if I had like at least like 3 good, like well skilled players, like 2 knights and then 1 knight with a knight NPC, I think we could take it. I'm pretty sure we could take it. Once they escape the temple, the party should have strong motivations to go to Jeffroy's secret shack. If they refuse the invitation, they can spend the night in the blood-soaked inn. They should have strong motivations to travel to Jeffroy's secret shack in the morning. Or they can go overnight. You can say that the fight with the zombies lasted well until night, which prevents the party from getting the benefits of a long rest if you're running the adventure without them. Yeah, because this is designed to be without a long rest. Understood. Shack is found on the outskirts of town. Various weapons line another wall. You basically get silver enchanted weapon for demon slaying is +1, +2 against the undead and demons. And I guess you can just put whatever weapons you want in there. You get to find the information about from Jeffroy, summoning a demon. Grimlock family fought demons, descended the Grimlock family in Redwater. Weapon was buried in an ancient crypt. Silver weapons like the ones hanging on the walls deal additional damage. If they haven't met Dan and Strongblade yet, they discover him here. So you get your ally, whether you go to the temple or whether you go to the shack. You're in better shape if you just go directly to the shack. Nice choice, actually. That's a nice design choice. I like it. Swamp in the Crypt. You've got a basic little... I mean, that's not labeled. I think there's battle maps available separately. I can't remember. Alright. So it's just a simple little tomb. You've got the altar. The door of the building is ajar. Down the scripts you got basically... At the bottom of the stairs, the passage opens up to a small courtyard with 3 doors. In the middle of the courtyard are a dozen human skeletons. A woman in black is bound and is surrounded by 4 men in armor. So these knights are represented by hobgoblins. So that's a real serious downgrade from the knights actually in the keep. So still, okay. So they can give you more information about the order being turned to evil. Jebediah selling his soul. You meet Lucia, who can tell you to go into the crypt. You go into the tomb. A single glowing gemstone about the size of the indentations of the wall. Gemstone key. Yeah, it's a gemstone key. Clues for the party for the secret to opening the door. Lucia has a minor cut on her arm from resisting capture by the knights, and she will wince and grab her arm once or twice. When she presses on her arm, some blood drips down, so you can use her blood to open the door. It's like a puzzle lock where you get like actual blood from her. A DC 12 investigation check on the door will reveal there are channels within it. The player tapping on the door, listening sound just would reveal this. So that's that room right there is where you meet her. And then 3, this is where that door is. And then 4 is the glowing tomb. It's partially broken open from a cave-in. The heart inside the coffin gives off a green glow. So it's basically a shining pick-me-up light like you see in computer role-playing games. Pick up the heart. Put it in the indentation. There's 3 hearts. It says 1... I believe 2... Single glowing gemstone inside of indentations of all, yeah. So there's 3 of them. And that gives you a weapon. An amulet. Then you go back to the Temple of the Damned, which is same map, just with a blood stain on it now. Proper encounter map. Temple of Stone Walls. You know, you go through there, but when you arrive, I'm not seeing any knights. So you go in there, and you get a demon that's just statted out like an ogre. Which is a suitable challenge for 3rd level characters. Wouldn't say it's a deadly challenge. And then the knights are already dead, so they just get reanimated as skeletons. Okay. There's our OGL, our beloved and quickly becoming outdated OGL. Okay. So what do I think about the Temple of the Damned? I think it would be a good one-shot. I think it is adequately written. I think that it oversells the deadliness of the encounters a little bit for any group with some skill, but for a group that is just kind of wanting to kill time, then yeah, it would be challenging for them. No, I think it's pretty solid. Man, how far behind is my stream? How far behind is my stream? My stream is like a minute and a half behind. Wow. I didn't know I had it that far behind. Alright. Well, anyway, that's the Temple of the Damned. I will put a link in the chat. And actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my affiliate links. Should I put my affiliate link on there? I usually do. Give me a second. But I will put a link in the chat here real quick, even though it's pay what you want. All links in the chat and all links that are going to be later in the comments will be affiliate links. And then we'll move on to the next one, because we've got a lot of ground to cover tonight. Although less than usual, because I generally have a ton of stuff. Actually, I do have quite a bit of stuff this time. Oh, forget I said anything. Let me put this last one in, and let me put the link in the chat. Temple of the Damned, pay what you want. It's a decent little adventure for a night out. So, next, we go to the Creepy Handshake. Is this one still pay what you want? The Creepy Handshake from Mora Games. It's a micro adventure that is actually leads as a service, an intro adventure to a collection of adventures and a supplement that's available separately. And I actually covered it on RPG News Roundup a little while back. So let's see what this has to say about the quality of the adventures. The Creepy Handshake from Mora Games. Let's see how it goes. It's a 5th edition adventure, of course. It uses the OGL. Man, I am trying. I've been like very much trying to avoid making like specifically OGL videos, and it just completely wrecked. Like, for the first time in a long time, I had material coming out this month for tabletop content, and that OGL stuff just basically wrecked my ability to do it, because it was very much how to it was a step-by-step adventure, designing a OSR style adventure for specific OGL related resources, and I can't do it. I mean, I could, but I'd have to change it up immediately. If I'm going to do that, I may as well just rewrite it from the start, huh? But anyway, Urban Micro Adventure is part of the module Tiny Weird Adventures Urban Edition, a collection of short adventures to be used in conjunction with the 5th edition of the most heavily monetized fantasy role-playing game of all times. This supplement does not presuppose any specific scenario, and although it was written with one system in mind, it can be easily adapted to any other medieval fantasy RPG. Good point. So you've got a rumor table. Just gives some basic background on the butcher seeing a figure hanging around the trash, a bizarre dog around here, and be careful walking around late at night because there's bandits on the loose in the city. They're all apparently true to some degree. When presented, the NPCs will have in parentheses their relevant information, their ancestry, and then their alignment and corresponding stat block. Alright, they get a stained pamphlet. I lost my pet. Huge reward. Come meet me at the Crooked Alley house. And it's... Okay, so... Wait. A successful DC-14 Wisdom Perception check is needed to reveal that the paper is stained with various strange fluids. So what? If you don't make it, you're just assuming that there are patterns on the paper or something? The pamphlet was posted on by a one-handed necromancer named Lopo, gnome, lawful neutral priest, who lives in the Crooked Alley. The gnome lives in a nearby deserted street where the debris forms an angular entrance and barely leaves room to pass. The openings of the doors exude a purple haze with an acrid smell, which is an alchemical concoction. First is a bizarre lab that stinks of chemistry and dirt. Main chamber is filled with jars containing pasty liquids. There are embalming and exhumation tools in there. The room also contains some of the known successful necromantic experiments. A zombie deer trophy called Misty. That's a deer head. That's not the whole deer. It's just the head. That looks directly at the newcomers, giving them a slight welcome roar. How do you roar? There's also a disfigured and peaceful zombie dog called Boy that wanders around the house at night and likes to chew on everything you not want. You know, it's nice to know that they're going the whole route, you know. Calling things ancestry, naming things Boy. Lopo is a mutilated individual with huge scars on his body and a disfigured face. He has only 4 fingers on his right hand, and which catches more attention. He has no left hand. Despite being a necromancer, he possesses a curious code of ethics of not working with humanoid bodies, other than his own. If asked, he says, "I lost my hand," which would mean, in fact, that he lost his new pet. So he reanimated his own hand? Oh, God. Okay, he named it Crawley. His new pet eventually became rebellious and fled. He wants his hand back at home and offers 200 GPs per PC that helps in the rescue. For security reasons, however, the gnome's money is buried in the butcher's dump, where he used to collect his study materials and his food, because he's a gross little gnome. Alright. New king of town. Crawley got tired of having a pet life and now lives it at once, choosing for itself a rather peculiar professional path, a crime lord. What? I don't doubt that a zombie hand would want to become a crime lord. The question is, how would it become a crime lord? Its career as a thief took off in a short time, and it found itself surrounded by thugs and commanding a small... How? It's like Thing reaching out of a box? Or are they like obvious that it's like a severed hand? Are people going to stick around? How? I mean, it can write, I assume. Okay. No. It gets better. Once this adventure begins, transiting through the city becomes a hassle. If the PCs leave Crawley free to carry out its illicit activities, the zombie hands thugs turn the city... So this hand is not only a crime boss, but has the capability to terrorize a city? I don't know if I doubt the... I can't doubt the will. But it must be a crap city if a single hand can boss some bandits. Oh, God damn. If the PCs rummages through the belongings of one of the Crawley's goons, they find a signed contract under the name Crawley in fine handwriting over stained paper. PCs have not yet had any contact with Loco. The gnome gets to them, shows them the contract. Bad Crawley. She's doing harm around... His hand. His own hand is female. That brings up all sorts of implications that I don't really want to go into. Was it his left hand? Yeah, it was his left hand. Well, congratulations for those of you who are now wincing. That's going to sit in your mind for a little while. Okay, so where's Crawley? Crawley is staying in a tavern room. Wait. So it's paid for. It's not like this hand is hiding out. This hand paid for a room with money. Hold on. So it's an investigation. It's possible to track Crawling down by the chemicals. You've got thugs and bandits trying to capture the PCs before they find the hand. If the PCs question the tavern owner, all he has to say is that a guy with an unfriendly face usually rents a room there. So wait, did this hand... Oh, this hand is using one of its... Okay, so this... Let's assume for a minute that this hand is using one of its bandit minions to go around and act as its face. How did that start? Did this person see a hand crawl up, wait for it to scrawl out a contract, not run away screaming, not want to like swat the hand, but just stare at this thing while it's making a contract, pick it up, read it, and decide, yeah, I'm cool. I'm cool with being the henchman of a severed hand. I mean, look. Alright, stat blocks is basically an investigation. An investigation thing, my bad. That was me knocking something down. It's basically an investigation thing, some very basic skill checks, and going against bandits and Crawley the zombie hand, whom I might add is only CR is a challenge rating 1 because it's probably because it's got undead fortitude. Moira Games, Felipe Tuller. It's not badly written. It just is really silly. It's supposed to be a weird adventure. I guess it's weird. It's just it struck me as a. This looks like a kind of adventure that if it was on TV, like the Crypt Keeper would be cackling in the background making puns, you know? Well, you gotta hand it to him. All right, it's not bad. I will say this: if the other adventures in that collection are of similar quality, not necessarily quality of narrative, but quality of design, then that group of adventures, that Tiny Weird Adventures collection, might be worth looking into. I will put a link to the Creepy Handshake in the chat, and we will move on to the next product, which is going to be the last of the official 5th edition stuff that I'm going to cover this particular evening. Assuming that it's still free or pay what you want. It's pay what you want. Let me take a look. Gotta make sure. Gregarious, Rise from Oblivion from Stefano Stradioli. Gregarious, and I believe this is a 5th edition pay what you want class. Oh, it's an adventure module that includes new rules for the 5th edition of the most popular game in the world, playable with the OGL rule set as of that time of writing. Okay, it's an archetype. This is a 67-page OSR-like dungeon with maps. So tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to breeze through this one faster than I breezed through the last one. I will say this: I'm loving the artwork on the front. Gregaria, that's good. It was a finalist at the Quick Starter Award of the 2021 Modena Play Convention. Okay, Gregaria Strife and Blizzard is a adventure module that includes new rules for the 5th edition. And it features a hero's follower, like a squire, a disciple of the martial arts, specialist crew member, etc., etc. Comes with an adventure, a dungeon, a short set of specific rules for the adventure, a stereotypical setting that allows for some fantasy vibes, full-on third-level characters with the new class archetypes and new backgrounds created especially for this module. Okay, adventure is focused on escaping from an ancient dungeon. The protagonist, the Gregari, plural form the Latin word gregarious, depart from the bottom and have to find their way out without a hero to follow. The Gregari have great freedom of action in the dungeons, but they will face an enemy much more stronger than themselves, an evil army. So it's basically like 3 sidekick characters thrown out on their own. Central theme of the adventure is failure. The Gregari are condemned by destiny not to be able to shine the same light as the heroes of legend. They are extraordinary characters, but they also have flaws. Discovery of the past, the war, and the oppression of overwhelming forces. The mood of the module is grotesque and anti-heroic. You don't want to take it too seriously. There can be epic heroism, but failure and irony, even self-irony, will be equally important. I actually kind of dig that. I do appreciate that in my games. I appreciate the not necessarily super heroic stuff. Just ordinary people trying to make their way in an extraordinary world against extraordinary opposition. Just checking in on something real quick. All right. Okay, comedy and drama. Yeah, we're gonna go ahead. All non-player characters are considered human. The themes of racial or cultural differences are not topics covered in this module. Followers are exceptional and for their flaws and characteristics, not for belonging to a particular ethnic group. Yeah, that's pretty much how it should be done. Not be considered unusual in this society if the player's character or antagonist is not human. Similarly, the gender of the Gregari antagonist is irrelevant and can be modified freely. Yeah, okay. The only exception is the unaware Gregari, in case you wanted to make it possible they are mistaken for the heroes. Okay. Okay, make sure that all players are clear on what types of characters they're going to play in the mood of the adventure. Should be clarity and sharing of interest on all participants of the game. Here's the issue, man. Here's the issue. Stuff like this. I'm going to be straight up. Here. Like, there's been this huge push to do stuff like this. RPG and Declaration of Intents by Mana Project Studio and all that. All of this, it's not new. But formalizing it just reeks of, this terrible, terrible thing, It's like, when I run a game, I know what my people want because I've talked to them before. But we don't sit there and hammer out a damn contract and decide what stops the game and such. Sensitive topics. That's another thing. I play with people that have issues with sensitive topics, and I make the intention of finding out beforehand so I don't need to do this. That's what you should do, is make sure that you find out before you have to decide some sort of formal thing. It's a game. People are supposed to have fun. But at the same time, it's not supposed to be fun at the expense of everybody else's fun, Alright, the old age, the worlds and reality of this adventure that takes place, its greatest peculiarity is the absolute inability of its inhabitants to find valid names for things, cities, and people. What? Almost immediately, the dawn of their civilization, they decide to give up. The world was once imbued with great power that the wise ones could master. This power is Also enabled all the creatures you expect to find in the fantasy world to exist. The power was the magic. So this is just basically a reason why things have very generic names. The new terrible threat is the evil army, which is just an evil army. It's like this entire thing just sets up a world that is generic magic, and with some technology, while specifically not naming anything. And then it just sets up a very generic face-off against the evil army. Alright. The gregarious features. Each gregarious has 2 flaws instead of 1. An iconic flaw, which characterizes them, mostly physical, and an anti-heroic flaw, a defect that has or is preventing them from absolving their role as follower and becoming a true hero. So it's basically a limiting factor. Okay, that's cool. Each gregarious was a servant of a past hero or a present personality. They have a background description, a qualification of a few descriptive words relevant to the role they had. Your gregarious must have lived up in the hero's shadow for a long time. It's up to you to choose how. I didn't get this notification. Alright, fragments of memory. Each gregarious does not have a defined personal background, but instead has 3 fragments of memory. So you get an origin, a development, and then an epilogue, how they ended their history with the hero or the personality. Nothing else matters, because they're supposed to be side characters. At the end of this module are 4 examples of Gregari with flaws, a background, and a specific fragments. You can use the sheets as they are, or to model your own. Okay. Adverse Destiny System. Player can add a gregarious die after each ability check, attack roll, or saving throw. They roll 1d6 die and add the results to the previous, just like the Bardic Inspiration die. Alternatively, they can take the average value for this adventure. These values don't ever change, although they could in future adventures. The action of spending such a die is called Resisting Destiny. Each gregarious can resist destiny by drawing on their inner energies. Painful experiences and failure have left them something positive after all. Gives you an entire example on how to use these rules. Every time you use Resist Destiny, you can acquire a debt with Destiny. The Dungeon Master can use a hitch on them. The gregarious will automatically fail an ability check or a saving throw due to one of their flaws. They have 1 debt with Destiny at a time. So you use this gregarious die to give yourself a temporary bonus, but then the DM can basically say, hey, you fail later on just automatically. And you can only have 1 of them at a time. I don't hate that system. Narrative complications due to flaws or debt. I'd do that without a system. Credit with Destiny. If the player creates and shares details about their fragment of memory by telling a significant event, they can get a credit with Destiny, which basically means that you can use one of these Resisting Destiny die without allocating a hitch or a debt, or you can cancel out one. I don't hate this system. Adverse Destiny. This statistic is the essence of the life of the gregarious. Adverse Destiny represents everything that both in the past and present prevents them from succeeding as heroes. Despite performing heroic deeds, something binds them to anonymity, mediocrity, and failure. You get 1 Adverse Destiny point to a player each time they use a gregarious die. The value of Adverse Destiny can... So the group, you total the Adverse Destiny to... Hold on. Okay. So basically, you accrue Adverse Destiny points by basically testing Destiny over and over again. And with very high scores, it can basically backlash on you at the very end. I don't hate this part of the system either. But I feel like I would never use it. Like I would just forget. Classic character attributes are not considered in Gregarious. Each player can add them freely. The alignment, personality traits, ideals, and bonds. It's not a game of heroes. They fail sooner or later. They do not get inspiration. They have to use that testing destiny stuff. Sharing storytelling, which is not an unheard of concept. A lot of new school role-playing gamers think that, having having players kick in with parts of the world is a brand new concept. No, it was you were just pretty common in older stuff too. It's just it wasn't formalized, wasn't considered unusual enough, you know. All right. Okay, let's go down to the adventure proper. So I don't hate the system so far, but I'm behind Gregarious. The first city attacked by the evil army. There is an old tower. The Hero's Sanctuary and the Temple of the Sun are in the tower's dungeon. Here, the heroes' bodies, in particular those who thwarted the old terrible threat, are kept as relics. The old tower is the first target when the army raided the city. However, the Hero's Sanctuary was not empty. There are many members of the Old Age sect. The sect aimed to cast a powerful resurrection ritual to bring the heroes' bodies back to life. Who better than the old heroes to avert the new terrible threat? Another vital fact to consider is that the sanctuary was built around a physical deposit of magical residual power, a stagnation. Even without the magic, the Old Age sect possessed all the necessary power to perform the ritual. Unfortunately, the evil army wiped them out. The hit ritual, however, although incomplete, achieved the desired outcome a few hours later. The occupants of the tombs came back to life, but there was only one problem. They were not the heroes. They were the sidekicks, their adventurers, squires, companions, the trusty shoulders, whose names have been forgotten in history. So you got a... you start at the dungeon at the crypts and then fight your way up. Okay. Hold on a second. Hold on a second. I'm gonna have to deal with that. No, my system is... one of my system fans is a little loose, I guess. And it is making noises at me. I'm gonna need to fix that in the coming day or two. Alright, so you've got a 3-chapter adventure. A Bad Awakening. That's where you wake up in the crypts. The Eye of the Storm is where you climb up to the level below the top and discover what's going on. And then Run for Your Life is where you basically interrupt the magic ritual and figure out where to go from there. Okay. Some encounters are not balanced. Some fights are not designed to be faced openly. Yeah, that's typical OSR stuff. Monster stat blocks can be found free on D&D Beyond. Yeah, for now. Alright, the crypts. Level -3. Do we have maps here? Yes, we have maps. It's a very linear kind of dungeon, although since it's a crypt, I'm going to give it a pass. But you have 2 exits. What do you start with? The Sepulchre Hall. Signs of a violent battle. Braziers and torches burning, but everything's upside down. You get the smell of blood and incense. So you come out of these sarcophagi into this hall. Knowledge of aware Gregari. They regain consciousness. They are buried in the rubble half conscious. At this stage they can now describe themselves. They have all the equipment consistent with their class. Unaware Gregari only have their own clothes. Okay. So this has you finding a scrap of paper with details on what to do. If you survive now that the resurrection has failed, there remains only one hope. The magic ritual, the terrible threat, must not be fulfilled. Any impediment or obstacle will help the cause be strong. So you basically go up there and disrupt the ritual. The door leading to the stairs to the north has been breached. Going up that way, the PCs can reach the heart of the temple, S1, and the Temple of the Sun. A secret door to the south is visible through a large crack. It is the Collapsed Passage. Collapsed Passage has clues to the ancient gods, has another secret passage, the embalming room. That has a rope in good condition, a fragment ointment, a potion of greater healing. And that is through a secret door, so boom. You go down here, force your way through, secret door to C3, which has an exit to C4, which is a connecting cave requiring a DC 20 athletics check to reach. G4 corridor has a poison dart trap, pretty typical. After the second trap, bouncing spiked balls. Again, pretty typical, just piercing damage if they fall on you. Connecting cave C5. That would be right here. And I guess more traps. It does have more lore on the Guardians of Power, but nothing else. These Catacombs has 2 shadows, 4 skeletons. It's not a bad combat thing. That's in what, C7? No, that's C6. That's in here. So they would be in these tomb areas. C7 is a fulcrum of stagnation, shaped like a spherical cap, with smooth stone walls and flooring. There's a hole in the center of the ceiling. And this is a place where magical energy used to flow into the old age. Just before the Grigari leave the room, the magical ritual has begun on the higher levels. It gives you a warning to that, oh, something's going on. And it gives you information on what goes on as the ritual proceeds. You got a waterfall cave at C8, which I believe is second to last. C9 is hidden behind a secret door. In the junk of the den, it's possible to find a dirty but functional sleep scroll in the den of a badger. You can pass through the waterfall into C9 with appropriate checks. And that is a chromatic prism with a shield +1 beside it. Alright, let's take a look at the Temple of Sun. This is where you can get up to immediately from the Sepulchre area. It's regularly used by the Cult of the Sun, the Lost of Carpus Tassery, etc. It's, I gotta assume that you come up through here into S3? Or do you come up into S1? Let's take a look real quick. Alright. This takes you up to the heart of the temple, S1. So that takes you up into S1 here, which has a box of alchemical malfunctions. No, this is just this just gives a secondary rule set for having things start to break down as the magical ritual above grows in intensity. Heart of the temple is already occupied. You face off against a bandit captain and 2 bandits with a potion of healing that you can hopefully get to it from him before he takes it. Sergeant Scrape. Among the possessions is a missive for the officers. It gives you more lore, I believe, and an odd-shaped marble fragment. 1 of 3 pieces of bas-relief that allows access to the reliquary. So you got basically a key part. Because this the second adventure in a row that I've looked at tonight that has, like, puzzle-style locks in it. What do they think they are? Resident Evil? Okay, you get lore from captured soldiers if you decide to capture them and interrogate them. Basically, strength about the evil army. Give me a second. I gotta set something up here. 21, 125. Will that work? That'll absolutely work. All right. Into the heart of the temple is through a secret door. Right there, S3. But then a normal door from S2, correct? Yeah. And it just goes up to the service stairs that go up to the monastery on level -1. You get the prior's office, which is again behind a door. and connects to S7. Just gives you more lore, rare incesses in the smoking glass. S5 is the vault, which would be right behind that secret and locked door. What's the vault contain? It's very difficult to enter. It's an odd-shaped gold fragment, one of 3 pieces of bas-relief. So you've got a locked vault that requires quite a bit to get into, that has one of the 3 key pieces. And then S6, Temple Warehouse, that is back here, has your 3rd piece, right? Is an odd-shaped onyx fragment. It's one of the 3 pieces. You get various gear from within the Temple Warehouse. Secret Library has more gear with a spell scroll. Nice source of low-level spells. Alright, so I'm going to breeze through this real quick. It gives you notes on the magical ritual. You go up to section -1, which, oh my god, okay. The Monastery of Stone has got a lot of different rooms in it. It's not a huge amount of rooms. For what, 14? Yeah, 14 rooms. Looks like more. Your objective is to deal with the ritual. You've got various strategies you can do to disrupt it. Many rooms. There's a ritual going on in M2. Yeah, that's where M2 is, where things are going on. So you can sneak around. Fragment of memory is basically released anytime the ritual is stopped. Got a captured captain. Sleep on his bed is Captain Softy, a portly man with a thick mustache who, I guess, runs the area. Okay, so I'm going to basically just look through this. So this is a reasonably challenging room, a reasonably challenging floor. And these conduits are basically like a series of vents. So this monastery region turns into a stealth mission at this point, where your objective is basically to sneak around and then disrupt the ritual. Or you can just run in there and just hope for the best, but I don't know about that. And then you've got to get out of the area. And this is the greater area that it's in, the tower. So your idea is to escape this tower alive. And this is a lot of creatures or a lot of opponents for a small low-level group. You got a watering place. You can grab some mules and escape. All right. Gives you options to capture important people before you leave. There is a spy that can help them out. And then the objective is just to escape with your lives. Although they do have higher levels of the tower if you want to go through it, and you can catch a balloon to go away. And then the ending is just where you total up your score and what happened with what happened. So let's go into the end, which is just an appendix of random magical effects, various alchemical objects you can find during the adventure, the stats for the various antagonists, and here's your pre-made characters basically, which you can use direct or as inspiration. So, what do I think? I think it's an interesting adventure. I am not impressed with the lowest level, although I guess you can view that as a sort of tutorial level to let people get a sense of their character. The writing probably I'm not seeing anything technically wrong with the writing. I believe that it could be tightened up a little bit because there's a lot, and I mean a lot of stuff in here that I skipped over. But that could be skipped over. See what I'm saying? But I think this part here, where you, not the Temple of the Sun, although that's a decent one. This Eye of the Storm area, where this whole concept, where you enter this monastery that's occupied by an opposing force, and you have to go all Solid Snake and sneak through vents and like creep around rooms and stuff to try to disrupt the main ritual. This is the most interesting part of the adventure, and this is the part that makes this adventure stand out. I have not gone through it with a fine-tooth comb. And of course, what you saw here with me reading it, mostly in silence, is what experience I have. But it looks pretty inspirational, and then that's followed up by the escape from the tower. This, even if you don't play it yourself, if you're looking to run that kind of thing, I think this might be a good resource, because it does have a fairly well put together, like, infiltration and then exfiltration kind of setting for that. So with that, I'm gonna go ahead and post the link. This is Gregarious Rise from Oblivion. It's got some interesting takes on a lot of things if you can grit your teeth and get through certain aspects of it. But yeah, it's kind of interesting. Now we move on to the OSR stuff, my personal favorite. And there's two offerings right off the bat, which I'm going to take a look at to see how they came out. See if they're making sure they're still pay what you wanted. Yep. There's For a Few Minions More and A Fistful of Minions. These are from the OG GM Adventures, and it looks like they are a group of monster things. Okay, there's only 7 pages in this, and I am very disappointed there's no cover art. For a Few Minions More. A Fistful of Minions. Hold on. Here we go. This is the first one. A Fistful of Minions Volume 1, Slime Edition. Another OGM adventure by Michael L. Strauss. Why slime? Slime is your best friend if you're a game master, because you never have to offer an explanation as to why the slime is there. Slime takes up no space. They can fit in a bucket in the corner if needed. They do not need for food or water, so these are just slimes. The green slime. The brown slime. The red slime. The purple slime. The tomb slime. And each of these slimes has basic OSR style material. This one's acid attack, fire attack, bludgeoning attack on that one for the blood pudding. They've got an experience value. Even I suspect that could be useful for basically any OSR game, although it might take some adjustments. Some of them have special abilities. The round slime feeds off inorganic substances such as metal and materials. Any iron weapon that strike it will start to dissolve. It's left up for the DM's interpretation. Goes through the tomb slime, which lets that particular slime, when it kills things, turns them into zombies, or has a chance to. The trapper slime, which is basically a lurker below, I think. The striker slime is a lurker above, basically. The maid slime, the hell? The maid slime gets its name for the fact it dissolves any organic substance it comes into contact with, leaving behind a perfectly clean passage. The maid slime, so many people would have seen that and taken it another way. Possibly in the way that I took it at first. The shadow slime. Anyone struck by a shadow slime must make a wisdom saving throw or take an additional 2d6 psychic damage. Okay. On slime and natural 20. It's just talking about the D&D 1 thing where they were removing the whole critical hit thing. What if instead of doing double damage, they get to do something for far worse than they roll a natural 20? I like where this is going. So instead of a crit, instead of doing double damage, you can like roll on a table and be like, the slime damages the victim's armor by 2 points. The victim of the slime is stunned and unable to take any action. Those are actually worse in many instances than just double damage. I like this. All right, and then of course it uses the OGL, which is sad, but there you go. So that's a Fistful of Minions issue 1 slime. And then I'm going to look for a few minions more. This is undead. So this is just generic undead, right? So we've got zombies, which is just like an OSR zombie. The Ghost, which gives you a ghost that ages people, and a natural 20. They lose strength, various immunities. Ghouls, which paralyze people. This is just a bestiary for a creature, or for an OSR game. Burning Bones. It's just a skeleton that does fire damage. Generic skeletons. The Shade. It's a strength drain. It's a shadow, basically. The Ghast, which is a stronger ghoul. This version of a Ghast does not have a stank aura. The Wraith. Natural 20. The target of the Wraith's attack loses 1d8 points of strength. So I'm assuming there's no level drain in the system this comes from. The Vampire loses 1 point of Constitution when it hits, or when the victim loses it. Natural 20, they lose much more than that. Anyone slain by a vampire comes back as a vampire. They got a Charm Gaze. They have a Gaseous Cloud. They regenerate. Undead immunities. They can control bats or wolves. They can transform into bats or wolves. Powerless in daylight with daylight damage. And then ways to take them down. And mummies do mummy disease, a fear spell at will, and they're just mummies. So these are very generic kind of things. It looks like they're made for a particular OSR system. Although I will note that in both instances, for a few minions more and a fistful of minions, they look very compatible with a lot of OSR stuff. So I'm not sure what system it's for. It looks like they're for a fistful of minions, but they look inspirational, very generic old school style stuff. All right, let's go ahead and post the links. You've got the Fistful of Minions. Hold on. So you've got the Fistful of Minions coming up first. And then for a few minions more, the link for that is after that. All right. Well, with those two out of the way, let's proceed onward. I've got an adventure coming up, I believe. Return to Wavestone Keep. Is this still Pay What You Want or free? This is Pay What You Want, Return to Wavestone Keep from Flooded Realms Adventure Press. It's an old school Essentials game for levels 1 to 3. A lot of these things are just very generic, but I don't mind that. I like generic stuff. Do I even have this one? The hell? Wavestone Keep? Did I not download it? Thought I downloaded it. Give me a second. Did I move it into the wrong thing? Apparently I did. Goofy me. Oh, man. that cover art. Okay. That's not bad. Looks like something I would have sketched in the back of a notebook way back when. I need to put my own adventure out. Like right now, I'm doing the Dungeon 23 thing. It is available on Blogspot. It is available at fortressoftheforgottenprince.blogspot.com. I have not explicitly tied it to anything, although I am designing it roughly with old school essentials in mind. I'm being very vague on some things, and it's a very basic mega dungeon. But I feel like I should put together like more system neutral adventures that can be picked up and used with pretty much any old school NES art kind of thing. At least until a system I like is re-released under the ORC or whatever it is. Once that happens, I'll start switching back to doing more specific like more specific content on that. Anyway, this is a 10-page adventure. It is in the past, an eccentric noble decided to build a summer keep unlike any that had been built prior. So he spent a fortune commissioning stonemasons to carve a keep out of the largest known piece of wavestone. He also commissioned a wizard to create a magical object capable of stabilizing and moving the structure. So it's a floating keep. Ultimately, the structure is left adrift in the ocean, where a tribe of lizardmen eventually happened upon it. So you've got hooks to put them in there. You've got the ability for the party to get captured and put on the floating island. They awaken in 7, tied with an old rope to the walls and stripped of any adventuring equipment. Search and rescue. A nobleman's daughter, Nora Tillman, has been captured while on a pleasure cruise. Lord Tillman is offering 500 gold per party member for her safe return. Foul sorcery. A wizard has deduced the existence of a portal array in 3 and tasked the party with retrieving it. He will pay 1,000 gold for any crystals bought back and provide a scroll of knock. Okay, that's not bad. The Wavestone Keep is a floating mass in the ocean and is subject to tidal drift. The entire structure drifts in the direction of the prevailing current at a rate of 8 miles a day. On the new moon of each lunar cycle, it teleports to the nearest oceanic ley line, which encircles the planet similarly to longitude lines. Okay. Good luck tracking all that. Wavestone Keep is a small, squat structure carved into a massive chunk of wavestone. The chunk of wavestone is roughly shaped like a tear, with a tail under the water. It is 130 foot across at its widest point and 160 foot tall from tail to its highest point. A 10-foot wide flat trail has been carved 100 foot up from the water, roughly 30 foot from the surface of the water. Okay, like this. I'm sorry, I misread that because these words are starting to blend together in my eyes. A 10-foot wide flat trail has been carved 100 foot up from the trail, roughly 30 foot from the surface of the water. So I'm assuming this second trail means the tail. This trail extends. Editor, where are you? Halfway around the circumference of the stone. From this trail, a myriad of fishing line, nets, and anchor ropes stream into the ocean below. In the center of this trail is carved the exterior structure of the keep itself. This structure is a large iron-banded keep door flanked by 2 stone towers. So it's basically a floating dungeon. Okay, so you've got a wandering monster table, which is very basic: giant rats, sturges, snapdragon. I see people. Here's an aside. I see people like they're going to claim that sturges are like OGL stuff. Sturges is the plural of the Strix. The Strix specifically being a Roman mythological owl that eats human flesh and blood. So while the like mosquito bug style sturges are maybe OGL stuff, you can literally just change the description and call them Strix, plural sturges, to just keep the same creature basically. So because it's a mythological creature. Snapjaw is a large crocodile. Kobolds, regular crabs, a single lizard man. Yeah, this is really basic stuff. Oh man, I appreciate the attempt to get like OSR blue in there, but this map's kind of rough. So you've got guard towers flanking an entry point. Oh. Man, just looking at this makes my head hurt. Because it's supposed to be a keep. This is, I guess this is carved into the thing, right? There's no view of the keep's exterior. Oh my god. Alright. So you got a guard tower and entry. The guard towers are 20 foot tall. There are guards on the roof of the tower, lizard men guards. So there's 4 in all, 2 in each tower. They have a 1 in 10 chance to identify approaching ships not belonging to their tribe. 4 and 6 to spot intruders approaching along the trail. They are really, really poor guards. Each tower has an alarm bell which they will ring, alerting the companions in room 4, which is up here. After ringing the bell, they will attack intruders on the trail with their throwing spears before running down the stairs for melee. Alright, so the dining hall's right here through the door. The door to 3 is trapped with a gas trap. Nice. I'd love to see them traps. The body of a single kobold lies dead in front of it, with his hands clasping in his throat. Left is a warning to the other kobold slaves. You can't have that now, can you? The secret door to the north was a servant entrance. It is hidden behind a slide-out panel depicting a siren. The kobolds know about it, but they haven't told the lizard men. That kind of ruined their day. Lordling's throne room is in number 3. The throne room the noble had designated for his throne room. Now the chief of the lizard men uses it to store his personal shinies. It contains the treasure and a treasure map. The door to the crystal array, which is in, I assume, right here. The crystal array would be like right up in here. And of course, it's, I don't know if it's showing on my thing or not, because my video is delayed by like a minute and a half. That will be the crystal array, which can be sold for 500 or for 1,000 if you got your stuff from the wizard in the first part. But the head of the lizard men isn't there. It doesn't look like. So the barracks is in room 4 over here. The barracks there. Contains 9 sleeping mats. Kelp tail is there. And 3 normal lizard men. Otherwise, he's in 9, which is on room or on level 2. He has a staff of striking. Man, you can be mean with that, especially against like a low-level group. You can just bust out of the gate and just like immediately start expending. Sorry about that. I had to answer somebody's question. Where was I? Oh, yeah. Staff of Striking. Low-level characters. You arm a lizard man with a Staff of Striking, that can be a total party wipe. That is brutal. You just burn a charge every time you strike with it. Oh, man. So the nesting room is here. With 4 nests containing 3 eggs and 3 lizard matrons. Dry goods storage is here. Where it just passages to everywhere. The lizard men use it to store their goods. Wait, how do you get up here? I guess you got 2 stairs up. One's behind that secret door. It's got some miscellaneous gear. The Kobold Cave is up here. It's where the Kobold tribe is kept. 8 kobolds, along with their chieftain Striz and the bodyguard Vert. They have basic, like really small basic treasure. Larder and Live Well is open here, which has a single door against it, and I guess a drop off over to 9. The passage down from 6 has a gentle slope, and the door is padlocked. It's a metal grill across iron bars. Hey, what's up? And I'm probably going to be like a minute to 2 minutes, away from seeing that. But hey, it's good to see you. I've been going on for a little while here. But hopefully I'm probably about halfway done. I've probably got lots more to do. I'm just looking at this old school adventure, Return to Wavestone Keep, which is very, very straightforward. Larder and Live Well is where you keep the fish chute. It's basically where they keep their food. And hilariously enough, they also keep the prisoners if that's what you use to get to the party to this place. This is like a floating keep. And you get a carport where the lizard men are and where Kelptail, the leader of the lizard men, is. And then you got the quick reference stuff. System and setting is designed for old school essentials classic fantasy rule set for levels 1 to 3. I think it's a cute little adventure. I don't think it's the most well written. But it gets the job done. I'm not sure I'm a fan of how simple the keep is, but it works. I am a fan of giving a Staff of Striking to a level 1 boss creature, just so he can start popping off level 1 characters with each hit. I think that's hilarious, and you can hate me if you want, but that's the funniest thing I've seen all day. just to... Oh, man. Oh, thanks. I appreciate the watch, and I appreciate the support, man. You take care at work when the time comes to it, man. But and you know, as always, it'll be online after all said and done, so you can check out some of the other things. Okay, Staff of Striking. Okay, it's a classic. It's a classic magic item, right? That you basically can burn charges from it to increase the damage. And it's usually like 1d6 or 2d6. I don't know how many it is in... do I have my old school essentials book? Yeah, I do. Because I've been using it lately. You know, I love Labyrinth Lord. And I use that. But the reason I've been using this a lot is just because it's a smaller book. So I can actually sit there and just scribe, or, you know, just use it as a quick reference. But in stuff like this, you basically burn a charge to do more damage. In Old School Essentials, which is what this is written, expending 1 charge inflicts 2d6 damage on a successful hit. But if you're... So you got a lizard man who is facing against 1st to 3rd level characters. On average, in Old School Essentials, on average... You know, your fighters are going to be your outliers and your magic users are going to be outliers on the other end. But on average, a character is going to have between 8 and 12 hit points at level 3. Right? So your staff is going to be doing 3d6 damage. That's going to, on an average hit, take out a character every hit when he uses it. So they're going to have to deal with that guy real quick. And that's assuming they didn't come in here at level 1, because there's not enough experience to get them to level 3. So you basically got a lizard man boss that can just pop characters like so much bubble wrap. Just pop. You know, it doesn't have a lot of... it's just got standard charges for Old School Essentials, which is... that's a good question. How many charges do staffs in Old School Essentials start with? The number of charges in an item when discovered is determined by the referee and depends on the type of the item. Unless noted, magic staves contain 3d10 charges when found. 3d10. So this lizard man can... And it doesn't say... I don't think it says how many there are in this adventure. Let me take a look. It doesn't say. It just says he wears a golden necklace affixed with pears. Editor, where are you? Pears. I'm assuming that means pearls. Although I would be that dude and give this lizard man a necklace affixed with like really rare pears, just big fruit hanging from his neck. Worth 1,400 gold and carries a staff of striking. No mention of how many charges it has. So this dude could sit here and just pop. And then when they finally kill him, they could catch that staff and it'd be like, oh, I'm sorry, it's out of charges now. I would be the DM that did that, man. Actually, I'd probably be the DM that like put it in there and then completely forgot to use it. Because that's what usually happens with me. I'll give monsters items and then like just completely forget to have them use it. Anyway, I gotta get to the next one, man, or I'm gonna be here all night. In fact, I am gonna be here all night, most likely. Dry Season, an introductory OSR dungeon. I love introductory dungeons. They're so hilariously hard to balance. This one is actually a free one from Lazy Frog Games, designed for first and second level characters for most OSR systems. And please tell me that I actually downloaded it. Dry Season. Wah, wah. Oh, let me get Return to Wavestone up. I've got the... Let me post the link to that in chat. Yeah, give the staff 3 charges just so he can pop three party members. They kill him and then they take it, or just leave it with 3 plus whatever. Yeah, give them like a couple charges left just so that they can enjoy it, and then when it runs out, it runs out. Like enough to give them an edge in the next combat, but not enough to really make it last, so they got to choose. Alright. Anyway, this next one's Dry Season. It looks like it's got 5 pages. I'm very disappointed that there's not even an attempt at a title screen. But hey, you do what you can. That's another thing I gotta figure out. If I ever do try to put out an adventure, because I do adventure critique all the time, and I run adventures for my patron game all the time, but I don't have anything up where people can actually get to it. So I probably except for the whole Dungeon 23 thing, but I guess I'll try to put something together just so that I can say something, just so I can look people in the eye and say, yes, I have an adventure out there, even if it's not very good. I'll probably use AI art for it too. And people are like, you use AI art, you're putting artists out of business. You're like, man, I got no budget for that kind of thing. you can't lose business from somebody that ain't got the money to pay you in the first place. Actually, a friend of mine, the same friend of mine that did the channel art, really probably could use more art. So if I get a budget for it, I would probably commission her. Let me take a look. Actually, here we go. Dry Season. Let me take a look at this before I forget. Okay, that's an interesting map. Here's, looking at this map, not even looking at the adventure, looking at this map, several things stand out right away in this map. First of all, is that, and I wish there was is there a pen? No, I don't want to add a signature. I want to draw on the damn thing. No, I don't want to. Oh man, I am so disappointed that there's no draw tool on here. But can I get a no, there's no drawing tool. Anyway, standing out right away, you got a main entrance, but then as soon as you come into the dungeon, you've got choices. Like this one is a switchback. This is a switchback kind of tunnel, which means that if characters aren't paying attention, they can just walk on by it, and then whatever's in here can come out and attack them, or it can offer a choice of where to go, and immediately you've got branching paths and that loop around. So in here you've got this loop right here that you can go through, this loop that you can go through, and the greater thing, it looks like this loops back. I would like it better if this connected to this somehow. And it looks like some 3D overlay. I don't know if those are pits or if they come out of the ceiling. If they come out of the ceiling, that'll be nice. Still haven't even read the adventure, and this map is already kind of impressing me. Not from the squiggly and the irregular rooms and such, just from the sheer connectedness of it. I'd love to see that in maps. Northern Cave, a cave composed primarily by yellowish limestone, with stalactites become more common as adventurers. A cave composed primarily by yellowish limestone with stalactites become more. Is this machine translated? I do not know. If it's not, then editor, where are you? The entrance tunnel leads into a 5x5 space overlooking a 10-meter drop. 3 meters from them, they can see what looks like another larger tunnel in the other side of the drop with 2 wooden logs bridging the gap. If a player wearing heavy armor tries to cross, the logs will break and will fall into the water below, taking 1 damage. This is something I used in my Goblin Layers type game, with the collapsible wooden log bridge, where you can have the I would have like a goblin either harrying the group. This would be further in. I'd have a goblin harrying the group, then run over the bridge. Somebody runs to follow them, and it just collapses under them. And now the party has to choose between taking out the running goblin that's probably going off for help or whatever. Love that. Love that. Don't love the fact that it's just like right out front without any other danger, but I love that. Climbing down from the rocks, the players find themselves in a water set 50 centimeters deep. The river's current is very weak and simply slows down travel speed. So that's basically just difficult terrain. Following the river flows south leads into a pile of goblin bodies, blocking the river from exiting the cave and causing the river's level to rise. The smell from the bodies mixed with the stale air of the cave and the still water can cause the players to vomit. It can cause the characters to vomit. If it causes the players to vomit, you got a problem. To correct the flow of the water into the stream below, the players will need to alert the elder back at the village, who will hire priests to purify the water and reward the player for their effort. This is like kind of difficult to read. Like, I get the gist of it, but it really, really needs like a native English speaker to give it a once-over real quick. Proceeding to move the bodies before clearing out all hostile goblin will cause the goblin on floor 1 to ambush the players when they climb the rock. I still haven't seen goblins described. Other side of the bridge. I mean, I've seen goblin bodies, but I'm not seeing goblin, like, actual goblin encounters. Alright, so those are holes in the ceiling. So these are holes in the ceiling allowing goblins to drop on them, which is something I've used, again, in a goblin lair. Very nice. I'm impressed with the thought that went into this map. I am not impressed with the total lack of goblins. In the center of the room lies a still goblin, chains attached to their limbs. Goblin has bruises all over their body, especially their right leg, where a crudely patched wound can be seen spanning from the calf to the heel. Using cure wounds on a goblin or feeding it water and waiting 10 minutes will wake them up. They won't be strong enough to move. Players need to free them, then cast cure wounds or gain again, or feed them a ration and wait 30 minutes. The goblin will look gratefully at the players and slowly go back to room 3. They will reveal a secret push door to the party. So far I'm like 5 rooms into this. Like, I'm already like all the way through here and there hasn't been any combat yet. Room 6 still has no combat, although it does have the goblin that you met helping them, which is good. Room 7 is a half-meter wide S-shaped tunnel that goes upwards into the first bend. Liver-shaped room, big trapezoid marching in the middle. 2 goblins are busy talking to each other on 8. And they can run to room 9. So these goblins are hostile. Where is that? Yeah, that's in room 8. So those goblins in there can possibly be hostile. And those are the first 2 goblins that are described. Okay, you've got more goblins in room 9. Goblins in higher alert. Here, more goblins in room 11. And it's just basically navigation stuff. other than that, basically come up to floor 2, and that's through what, number 11? Wait, how do you get up to floor 2? Is it 11A, room 12? No, room 13, 14. How do you get up to room? How do you get up to second level? How do you get up to the second level? Yeah, it's got to be room 11, but I'm not seeing description of a. I'm not seeing the description of like a stairway. And the map is not really helpful. I mean, it kind of is, but then it kind of not too. All right, so basically, floor 2 is area 16. It's just a big fight. It's just a goblin fight. It's literally just a goblin there. Okay. What do I think about Dry Season? I will put the link in the chat. One moment. I'm not going to spend more time than I have to on that one. Dry Season. Decent intro adventure. I love the map design. Reading it and trying to make out where everything was a little bit sus. Probably needs a once over with a quick editing pass, but not terrible. I've seen worse introduction adventures. Now, I have a couple more adventures, but it looks like I have a number of actual RPG systems in the list. And I honestly don't know if I'm going to be able to get to them all. We shall see. We shall see. Next is Cavern of the Creeping Terror. Oh man, that art makes my eyes hurt. I like it, but right now is not the time for line art like that. I actually like that line art a lot, but it reminds me of like a wood carving. Is it just an old wood carving? I think this is a 3rd level OSR adventure from Cormor Publishing with no particular system. It is system neutral. And it looks like it is pay what you want. Again, if you end up using any of these pay what you want things, and later on decide, to use them, go ahead and throw a few bucks to the designer. And if you're looking for a way to keep track of your campaign or get some writing done, World Anvil is a sponsor of this channel, and I did not plug them yet, and I'm plugging them now. There's a link. Well, there should be a link in the description, and you can use my link and the coupon code RPG Crawler to get 40% off a yearly subscription. Yeah, World Anvil have been great for sponsorships. They don't. I've been putting up my RPG news roundup on the site, on the World Anvil site, so that people can see it from there too, and it's kind of part of the arrangement. It's an informal arrangement. I ain't a big channel, so it's not bringing a huge amount in, but it's helping. Appreciate it. I appreciate them for taking a chance on me. All right, going back to this. The frost pirate Ulfur hid his last great plunder in the wave-washed caverns beneath the cliffs of the village. Oh, neat. It's a search for a treasure. Sweet. It provides a frigid coastal village, the eponymous cavern dungeon, and the remnants of a pirate treasure hoard. The module is intended to be dropped into a game or serve as an inspiration for your own imagination. The influences include the Gluss from Del Toro Quest. I have not... I don't know what that is, and I feel like I should know it. The Arctic Horror of The Thing, which I haven't seen in a long time, and Grendel's Mother's Lair from Beowulf, which is something I also have not read for a long time, but I know where it's coming from. The village of Holgar is built atop a cliff overlooking a dark and icy ocean. Some folk farm, others fish, all are miserable. The one solace is the Draugrs Draught, a bar established by a member of Ulfer's crew. Is it draught or is it draft? Is it draft or draught? Because I've heard it pronounced both ways. Anyway, the village consists of roughly 100 souls living in a familial shacks built together over years of intermarriage and inbreeding. The village once served as a place of respite for weary sailors before the ocean grew dark and angry. It is often sleeting, hailing, or snowing. It is always cold. So you've got a bunch of some of the notable characters of the village. Gives you quick access to traits, gossip, and their location. Gives you more detailed information on some of the more important villagers. It gives you information on the bar, as well as what is sold at the bar, and a trap door leads to Cavern 18. Okay, so you've got like an entrance into the dungeon from the tavern itself. The cavern is split into 3 levels. The lowest level will flood as the tide rises, so it's only accessible in the early morning or the evening. The cavern is inhabited by the creeping... this reminds me, like, of all the dungeons, I need to design a dungeon, because I have ideas and, like, sketches for, like, really, really, like, irritating and nuisance type underwater dungeons. Like, inspired by, like, the old underwater dungeons from, like, EverQuest and such, that nobody would want into. Like, if you ever been to Kedge Keep in EverQuest, I used to love that zone. The Fae want to escape this cavern and will make deals with those willing to help. Okay, the Creeping Terror is an adolescent death slug going through metamorphosis. With enough food and time, will transform into a flying death gnat. Wait. Slugs don't turn into gnats. Do they? No, they don't. They're just slugs. Anyway, when exploring the cavern, emphasize the dampness, the darkness, and the echoing of the waves crashing against the rock. I'm loving the atmosphere of this cavern so far. So you can enter it by going through a rocky path down the cliff face. There's a secret cavern that connects to Cavern 6. I don't get what you're referring to, because the stream has like a freaking 2-minute delay, and I don't know how, because I used to tell it, like, I used to have it on a 30-second delay, but it's giving me like a 2-minute delay minimum now. So I honestly don't know what the question is in relation to. The cavern's upper level. Oh, man, this map, though. Ouch. Yeah, that's what I was saying. Slug to gnats. Slug to gnats. Yeah, I was like, what the hell, man? Slugs are just gastropods. There must have been something lost in translation there, or... I mean, I guess if you're just going for weirdness, I'd call it like a grub or something. Like a death grub. That might turn into a really big fly. That would work. The Accursed Undead. Yeah, but this map, like, for real, like, if you're going to go ahead and use an image thing for a map, go ahead and smooth things out, man. Smooth it out. Otherwise, it looks like I'm looking at an RPG Maker game kind of map. The ghosts, ghouls, and skeletons that haunt the part of the cavern were left behind to guard the treasure below. So it's basically... Lauki the One Eye is a specter missing both eyes, instead having a ghostly crab camped out in his sockets. I love this descriptiveness in this adventure. Just like a specter with a ghostly crab in his eye socket to tell him where to go. That's neat, man. Like, yeah, I got my issues with this adventure so far, but it's just got such good stuff. All right, so you got skeletons carrying a barnacle-ridden chest with cutlasses. 3 ghouls fantasizing about the taste of fey flesh and trying to figure out how to get down to the fey. 1d8 blood crabs scattering about looking for food. 2d4 crust zombies on patrol. Garrick, a lost village boy desperate to escape this horrible cavern, doesn't remember details about the village, is actually possessed by Harn, a specter who thinks he's found a loophole in the curse. Attempting to exit the cavern while in Garrick's body will cause the boy to explode. I can just see that. I can just see that. Like the party's like, oh, this lost little village boy. Let's take him outside. And as soon as they step out of the cavern, just... Oh my god. There's the party just standing there dripping gore going, oh my god, what happened? Okay, yeah, man. You got to go over the top on the like you know, I look. I'm gonna put the like the warning, like, you know, be sure that your party is okay with this before you blow up a boy and splatter him with gore. Just pile on the extra buckets of blood to make it look like a 90s era Japanese horror. Loki One Eye, ensuring the defenses are up to snuff. All right. Like I'm gonna skip. I'm gonna go through this. I'm not gonna spend a lot more time on this because this looks like a dungeon that I would love. Yeah. Some people would love that stuff. My people would love it. I mean, they may object to it, but chances are good at least a couple of them are going to be busting out laughing. But at least after they think about it. Look, I'm gonna skip a lot of this. I'm just looking through real quick. They have some really interesting stuff in here. Got the next level is just full of Fae, and they're not like good Fae. They're like there's lots of infighting and stuff because they're trapped down there. You got Durwell Licklong, who is what? I don't know. It doesn't say. A Fey witch who has been trying to communicate with Milga in an effort to escape. She's cautious about making any deals with mortals because of Ulfar's betrayal, but an adventuring party may present the best way out of the cavern. And remember, these things are stuck down there. The undead are stuck down here from a curse, but the Fey are just locked in behind iron locks, so they want to get out, but they don't trust anybody. And they're also kind of creeps. If you look, they're like fighting over each other for scraps of meat. The final dungeon, or the final level, is only 4 things. It has the creeping terror. Got a trapped treasure hole. Oh, and look. This isn't even a slug. That's a full-on snail. I think that's just stock art they use, though. The creeping terror rests here when not out feeding. You got a pirate's treasure hoard. And then an exit. Creeping terror. Stats. As dragon. Appearance. Shack-sized slug. With a spiked tail. The creeping terror pierces the soul of the target with its dozen black eyes. This is like much creepier in the description than this art gives it credit for. Having an uncontrollable urge to defend against all threats. So you can charm people. Man, that slug is brutal. And then there's just the magic items and everything. All right. Cavern of the Creeping Terror from Cormor Publishing. I'm going to say it. This is like the best one I've read tonight. This is the best one I've looked through tonight. I like the... I think the art needs work. Like, I know a lot of people say, oh, we hate AI art and stuff. Throw some of these descriptions into AI art and play around with it for a little bit. And then, like, clean up the maps, and this would be a really good adventure. It's really got some impactful, creepy, and yet still kind of goofy, like, scenarios, and it's got some custom magic items at the end. So instead of just being like, oh, a longsword +1, you've got, like, each of these items feels like a genuine magic item. I'll put the link in the chat. Cavern of the Creeping Terror. And that's to move on. Now, here's where it comes. Here's where the issue comes. I am starting a flag. So I need to get through as much as I can. So this is where I start going quick. And the issue is that I'm looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 more offerings, many of which are actually like entire role-playing games. So I'm not going to be able to go through them real quick. I'm just going to try and speed through what I can. First is Grizzled Adventurers Travels and Travails. It is a pay-what-you-want offering from Flatland Games. It looks like it is designed about basically older adventurers. It's an OSR system. It's an OSR add-on to a system, I believe. So let's take a look. Travels and Travails. Also, my voice is gonna go. Like, I can already feel it. So I just put up some Secrets of the Silver Blades. I may have to call this sooner than I'd like, simply because my voice needs to be okay for Saturday's RPG News Roundup. Eventually, a time will come where I will be having to do RPG News Roundup, and it'll just be me staring at a screen while like an AI voice or like a voice synth voice goes in the background because I've screwed my voice up. Grizzled Adventurers, Travels and Travails. I like the title page. It's a supplement for Grizzled Adventurers. And that in and of itself is a system for old adventurers. These are adventurers that are past their prime. This is 20 pages. It's the second of 3 little supplements for Grizzled Adventurers. In the first, Advanced Mages Guild, we talk about mages and the source of trouble to get into. Here we focus on getting home and getting old. In the Dungeon Builder's Almanac, we'll add new types of dungeons, new monsters to face therein. So it basically deals with the frustrations of getting old. Travel is measured in the amount of hassle it is rather than time and distance involved. You'll understand when you're older. Yes, I absolutely understand. I'm like only in my mid-40s right now, and I already get this. Travel is measured in the amount of hassle is rather than time and distance involved. I used to go like all the way down the Texas coast, down to Corpus Christi and back to Houston, like a couple times a year. And like right now, like just thinking about driving that long, just kind of like gets me like, taken back a little bit. So I'm starting to see where this is going. As we get older, the demands of life more and more interfere with our plans for heroism. So too, sometimes there are characters who provide a family emergencies table to fill out in on what's happened to the character who's had to miss out on a dungeon because of a busy player. Magic items. The bestiary. Introduce magic items of peculiar sort. Should be wasted on the young. Getting home. Rules for getting home. Harken back to the boxed games of the late 20th century and treat all travel as sort of odyssey. Alright, to make a travail roll, you basically have to make a travail roll. Roll 2d20, apply it to travails table, and look it up. Travail tables have your country cousin's place that lets you stop in and you can find a cousin's place and stop in and basically visit them for a while. Actually, you know what? I hate to do this. I'm gonna finish this and then I'm gonna have to call the stream. Like my voice is like my throat's starting to hurt. Your brother's border castle. Always happy to welcome you there. All the way back home. So you just regain your hit points and fortune points, which I assume is to the system, and then you just get home. Distant city of wizards is impossible within reach, and the ordinary escapes your grasp. Gain all your hit points and fortune points, the magic market, and you basically visit the market there. We only leave so that we can return. So you stumble, and these are the travails that you can come across as you like go into places. You stumble across a minor location. You are caught between two battling wizards. It gives you options to like immediately enter a dungeon. A peddler with a strange glint in their eye tries to sell you something. Caravan. Friendly encounter with large group of travelers. Deep ravine. The clumsiest character should make a dexterity check or get basically fall into or start to fall down a ravine and then cause everybody damage. You get lost. You get a beast of legend, or you actually encounter an old legendary beast. Weather problems give you issues. Bandits basically surprise you. Come across poisoned water. Stumble upon a minor location. You encounter some drunken sailors. This could be used for like any group. Deceptively deep river crossing. Bogged down. This is basically overland travel issues. These are the minor locations. Everything from magical sites or temple, magical home. Area of extremely difficult terrain. Gives you what makes it interesting. Okay, so far, we're like 12 pages into this supplement. We're 12 pages into this supplement. And most of this would be applicable to any party with characters of any age. Like, I could see using, like, all the way up to this for, like, any OSR system. Just as a quick and... Or at least using it as inspiration for, like, quick and ready inspiration event tables and such. Looking pretty good so far. And this is just family emergencies to explain why an older character is not available. So, like, if you have to miss a game, your DM or whatever can say, oh, your character had something come up. A grandchild. One of your favorite children has a child with whom you're immediately smitten. So, oh, sorry, this guy couldn't join the adventure because he was, like, you know, seeing his cute little grandkid. A birth in the family, another type of birth happens. Not necessarily grandchild, but like, you know, from someone else. A serious illness. You lose one random ability score permanently. Ouch. You missed a game? Well, that's because your character had a serious illness. Reduce one of your ability scores permanently. Surgery. Lose 1d4 points from a random ability score for the next adventure only. So, that's cool. Illness in the family. Gain a MacGuffin. The next Dungeons and MacGuffin is a cure for this illness. I'm assuming that's a setting. That's a system-specific term. A wedding. Offer 100 gold or magic item to the newlyweds. A funeral. Lose an ally or an extended family member. Ouch. Okay, so yeah, this is basically like minor things. Last year's news. Have every Grampy Old Hero roll in these tables once per year. So once every year, they get older. So you can do good news or bad news. Wait. So, no, you do both. You do both. So you roll on both the good news and the bad news tables. A lot of these are basically consequences of aging. Safe investments have paid solid dividends. Friendly pharmacists gain up to 2d20 palliatives for 1 silver each. Nepotism. A young relative has taken an interest in the family business. Extensive teamwork. Your allies gain 1 hit dice per level. And then last year's bad news. Diminished faculties. Lose an ability point and a random attribute. Oh, that's sad. Creeping time. All saving throws worsened by 1. Vertigo. No more than once per dungeon. Suffer a -5 to all ability checks for the rest of a scene. Yeah, this is just basically things that pop up. They crop up as you age. Crotchety magic items. Hand of the first dead. A withered, severed hand said to belong to the first necromancer grants any hold at the effects of the cantrip's second sight. Alright, you take care. Take care, and, as always, it will be up online for people to watch at a later date. 10 ears. They remove penalties of hearing, but deaden the wearer's sense of musical quality. Bestiary. Souls of place. This is just basically creatures. Some of these more interesting than others. The ever-rolling eyes, a minor demon of boredom. Rolling eyes, yeah, okay. Gossip of fairies, retired soldier, okay. So, here's the thing. My voice is going. My voice is gonna go. I'm gonna put the link to this in the chat. Here we go. I wanted to cover more, but my voice is going, and you can't hear it now, but it's hurting. It's gonna go. So I'm gonna wrap up here before I ruin myself. I may cover these separately at some point. I don't know. I have to see. I got through most of the decent ones that I saw. I've got like 1 or 2 on here that I would have loved to see, but I may cover those separately. Anyway, thank you for watching. Thank you if you're currently watching. Thank you if you're watching at a later date. The links are in the chat. I will try to put links in the description below as well. This has been the RPG Crawler with my quick look at free and pay what you want RPG products. I will try to get these out more often because, as you can see, they just do tend to build up over time. And hopefully I'll have some more tabletop RPG stuff coming out. Until next time, take care and goodbye.